All right, welcome to Powered by Authenticity, week 5 of my special series with Krystalore Crews. Krystalore, how are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so good. It's a beautiful day. It's bittersweet. We had a Bills loss, but in a better news, I actually got baptized yesterday as an
I
adult.
saw, I,
So I think it
uh,
was a win. It was a beautiful day. So I'm feeling really great today. Thank you.
what a beautiful experience.
It really was.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's funny, as I get older, I'm I think there used to be almost a part of me from a professional perspective that was afraid to share how much of my faith that I take with me every single day. But I think it's so important as you get to know people that they have that peace to them. And so I loved how you were sharing about your baptism. It was fantastic. I just love that.
Thank you. Thank you. And quite honestly, and we can kind of, I definitely want to get into today, but I think this
Yeah.
is really powerful for your audience. And I think for your podcast theme too, is the authenticity part. 22 years in the military. Shout out to all those veterans. Thank you so much for your service. We didn't talk about religion and politics. Like it was really
Mhm.
kind of taboo. We weren't able to bring that into our workplace, right? So,
Yep.
in many ways there were parts of us that were covered up for so long, right? And so everyone, yes, there was there was church, there were different services, but it was like mission first, right?
Mhm.
And it was kind of like it was kind of hush hush and we didn't really talk about it, right? And so, really in the last year is really where I grew in my faith so much. And being a thought leader and an entrepreneur and a business owner, like it is part of my core values. I have faith, fitness, family, and fun as part of the core values of Cruise Beyond Limits. And I'll just share, truly authentic. I haven't been sharing a lot of my faith journey.
Mhm.
I do with my clients,
Yeah.
but it hasn't been a something that has come natural for me to share publicly,
Yep.
right? Which I think if we're not sharing all parts of us, like being true to ourselves, and we get to choose what we share, but
Yeah.
there was a part of me last night that I really wanted to celebrate, and
Yeah.
I'm living here alone, and I was just like, I share all these celebrations with my community and with my clients that there was a part of me that said, no, don't share that. And I was like, well, in order for me to I want to inspire people
Yeah.
too. And, yes, it's a personal relationship,
Yeah.
what I did yesterday, um, but I got so many people private message me last night and
Yeah.
this morning, like just the overflow of love and support. And they're like, you reminded me of what I need to get back. And it was a beautiful message because I told a couple people, I was like, I almost didn't share this. And they're like,
Yep.
we're so glad you did.
Yeah.
And I just share that. I know I kind of went off on a tangent, but if you don't share all parts of you, and if faith is a big part of your journey and your success and what you want to how you want to impact the world, being truly authentic to that, I think is
Yep.
powerful.
Yeah. And I think, it if it's a part of who you are and it's a part of your core foundation as a person, I like it. Last week, I spent 3 nights at church preparing soup to feed the community. And, when I was there, it was just a great, first of all, it's grounding, right? You open up to community and you see people who that cup of soup and that piece of bread impacted their life that day. And I think even into the work that I do for, my podcast and for speaking and for all of these other things, that's that same impact that you want to have to others. And, you can make that in many different ways. But, right now my faith and my heart are still so happy about those events. And, that's something that, I'm so happy that you shared because, we learn more about who you are, but also just it reminds us that it's okay to talk about that and if it's part of who you are and your core values. So I think it's so important, especially I mean, we're going into an interesting season with, you know, relationships that can be struggling that you have to visit and just being pulled on that, you know what? Sometimes going to sit in church is actually a very good thing, and setting that time aside for you just to sit and reflect. Like it's a home, it's a place. So I love that you shared that about your baptism this weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's, and you said a lot of, when it comes to relationships and traditions in the holiday season.
Yeah.
Some people, I know for me growing up, we didn't go to church every Sunday,
Mhm.
right? So it wasn't a
Yep.
part that we would go at Christmas and Easter, right?
Yep.
And I would look at the part, but I never truly understood it. And so a part of me was felt very insecure about this, right? And so
Mhm.
I
Sure.
started getting curious. And I'll tell you that I always say this to my clients is like people farther along than you are not going to judge you. Right. And I always felt like, I'm like, I can't quote the scripture. I can't quote, like, I
Right.
don't
Yep.
know. Like, and I just feel so inferior when everyone is like, oh, no, no, and so I just started getting curious and attending and learning and leaning in. And I'm nowhere near like barely even scratching the surface. Right.
Yep. Yep.
And so often I think we want to show up perfect and like we have to have it all together. And as a recovering perfectionist, this has been a beautiful lesson and a blessing. And I'm just being welcomed with such beautiful souls, wanting to connect more. So it's been a journey, but I'm here for it. So
Life, listen, we keep iterating for ourselves, right? And that's what makes us better, and that probably holds true for all aspects, including our faith. So,
yeah, and it's never
yeah.
too late, right? I mean,
Nope.
it really
Nope.
isn't.
Nope. Everybody's going to open ours. And, I think one of the things the past I can't still, 5 weeks blows my mind that we're on week 5 with all of this. But, I've said it before is that there's different things that have really this time set aside. First of all, you do great Facebook lives, which always are, kind of thought provoking and also empowering. So I think there's that part of it. But just setting that time aside to be able to think. So I think this week, with the exception of stretching, because that Sunday stretch seems to be my new Achilles heel. But I
Oh,
do
okay.
think, yeah, I do think I got the workouts in. Now I did have to double up a couple of days, and I did do my final set of high knees while brushing my teeth yesterday. But I, I was like, I'm going to get this done. So
Multitasking.
multitasking, but I think it's also, that consistency and commitment to yourself, right? Like it was going to be something that I wanted to make sure I got to the other side. It was a busy week. There was a lot going on personally and professionally that, carving that time out wherever I could just to make sure that, there was the show up for myself was there.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so
Yeah.
what is our score for the week?
I'll do 4.5. Only be that
4.5.
Yeah, I'll just do 4.5. I could have done a little bit better with nutrition. I didn't get the stretch in. Again, it's just such a busy time. I think one night for dinner we had like gluten-free chicken nuggets, that type of thing. So it's just the chaos. It's the season, but owning up to it and showing up where I can.
Okay, so in the beginning, I just want to share for some people that didn't get your original assessment of what success looks like. Can we just review what we're looking at? And because I think with one stretch and one night of chicken nuggets, I think we can increase our score. So what's our measure again, just as a reminder, and then let's go through because we tend to
Consistency.
be really hard on ourselves.
Preaching to the choir on that one. Oh gosh. It was consistency, showing up to the workouts, taking time and setting it aside for myself, and thinking about kind of the theme of the week. Um, and I think it also just nutrition. Those are the basic pillars. So, I am typically hard on myself. I think everybody is, but I so I don't know, maybe we stretch it to a 5, but that would be about it. I think again, I think I've got a my new Achilles heel is that stretch. But
Okay. So what did you do on Sunday instead of the stretch?
literally, I cleaned and cooked for about 10 hours because that's my Bill's day. So
Hmm.
I was up at 6. I mean, really, I woke up at 3. I just had a dreadful night's sleep, but got up at 6, had a coffee, and just started cooking and cleaning and getting the house ready for a company. So even church was live stream, which I absolutely love the fact that we do that now. So I can stream and make food, which food and faith are my one of my top two things. So that was literally my day, and then the game came on at 4:25. Company left around 10:30, and then it was putting everything away. So literally that was my day yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what I'm hearing is that you were up early, you took care of a lot of other people, and you moved your body
I
all day.
did. Oh yeah.
And so you didn't do one 20-minute stretch, but you accomplished every other workout the entire week,
Mhm.
even the Tuesday.
Even the
However,
Tuesday. It was like 8:30. Yep.
so tell me again why that's just a 5.
Well, I don't know. You're right. Actually, calories burned yesterday. I exceeded my 550 on my Apple Watch. It was just I don't sit. Literally, when the game comes on, maybe for a few minutes to eat, but it's up and down and, everything. So, I don't know. I just
Okay, okay. So this is where some grace and space might be able to come in because you have been working diligently to improve that score over the year or over the
Mhm.
weeks, over the years. So over the weeks, right? And so
Yeah.
you've been making small movements. And I just want to remind us from the nutrition module from a couple weeks
Yep.
ago, the goal is not perfection,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yep.
living our life and being able to ebb and flow and navigate everything that we do with love and grace and space and pour into all of our cups while also taking care of ourselves. And when it comes to nutrition, the way that I like to embrace nutrition is like 90 to 95% of the
Mhm.
time you're prepped, you're ready to go. And then you have 1 or 2 days where you're like, I can enjoy life, eat the
Yep.
pizza, have the chicken wings, and load it with blue cheese if you want. But
Yep.
tomorrow we're getting back on
Yeah.
our plate. So what I'm hearing you say is that you had one day where your nutrition was kind of off, maybe
Mhm.
two, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And you had one stretch where that was the day off, by the way. You had one stretch in the meditation that you missed.
Yep.
For me, that's a 99.9%. So I would give you, if you out, and I'm not scoring you, you're scoring
Yep.
yourself.
Mhm.
But if I were to score you, I would give you a 6.75
And it's true, we're
out
always
of 7.
harder on ourselves. Yep. Mhm. All right.
Now that's being that you're sharing everything
Yeah.
that actually did
I'm
happen, right? Because we have a
sharing.
Rolodex of all the candy bars we ate and all the things that we did,
Yep.
right?
No, it's so funny for me because, Mondays are great. Mondays are I take all my leftover I have, like, a huge vegetable tray, so if anyone's ever seen my pictures, my veggie tray is, like, massive. I throw every leftover, like, except for, like, celery and carrot or celery and, cucumbers, they all hit the stove, and that becomes my, like, lunches. I've I've prepped, now I just roast and I'm good. So, it's so funny because my football games are a lot of times ways for me to prep, and do things like that. So, Mondays are easy. Tuesdays are usually easy because my husband goes out, so I'm on my own. I can do what I need to do from a food perspective. So it's just funny. There's easy ways that I'm kind of rolling in prep with some of my other activities. So
That's
yeah,
smart. So you're
yeah,
learning a lot of different efficiencies, which I think is for us to work and operate and be busy and pour into everyone else and also do what we need to.
yep,
Learning efficient ways to manage your time and double up on certain things, right?
yep,
You even said you're doing high knees while you're brushing your teeth, right? And what comes to
yep.
mind for me is like that is when I was training for my 50-mile race back in 2016, 2017. My coach would say, like, when you're brushing your teeth, um, use that time to work your muscles in your ankles. So go on your heels, go on your toes,
Oh
roll
yeah,
your ankles, right? So being
yeah,
efficient, so you're doing certain extra. You could squat, right? You could do a wall
yeah,
sit. There's a lot of
yeah,
different things you can do by
yeah,
brushing your teeth. So,
yeah,
but I know you're like, oh, this might sound silly, but I think it's pretty powerful because the consistency was what you valued and
yep,
making sure that you can trust yourself that you're going to finish what you started. And I think
yep,
that builds that confidence and that relationship with yourself and that self trust and that self love.
yep,
That so often we just make excuses. Oh, I'm too busy, or I got to run, or I got to take care of the kids. Where it's like, if you could work it in, how can you be
yep.
creative? And you found some incredible creative ways. So well done.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and I think that's, part of it too is that, the way the workouts are structured, you can do one set and then if you need to stop, you know what the next set's going to be. Like sometimes I even jot it down so I don't forget and I'll go do it somewhere else. It doesn't just the ways to be able to get it and we all have a phone. We can all set our timer for the minute and do the move and in times that we have set aside. Heck, I've done it in the hallway because I've got 10 minutes while I'm waiting for something to happen. But it's finding those ways making it manageable to fit into the schedule that you have. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, that's how I first started with this program.
Hmm.
So there was a woman that she wanted to just tone up her abs for a trip and she wanted to do
Yeah.
some prep. And so that's actually where these exercises started from, was I created this plan for her. And then everyone was like, I want that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
So initially it was a self-paced group, where it was just accountability. Hey, here's the exercises, set your alarm. But
Yep.
guess what? People needed the community and the
Yeah.
accountability. And so it's kind of evolved. I didn't always do it every single day live. Y'all, I've been every single day
Yep.
for the last 5 weeks plus every single morning at 6 a.m. There were like one or two that I did at sunset. But um, I think that accountability for me was great to stay connected with the group, but also everyone that started is finishing, which I think is so cool. And
Yep.
that wasn't always the case with
Yep.
other ways because we need that extra push and like I think the community piece. I don't know what are your thoughts on that? Because
I
people are self-motivated, but not everyone is.
yeah, and there's a group of people cheering you on, right? And it's kind of like other areas when you've got somebody cheering you on from the side, it makes you want to show up, whether it's our teams or, you know, uh, clients, whatever. If when you've got that squad there who wants for you to be successful, that helps to motivate you to keep going, right? Like I see the pings from everyone going, "Oh, I had to double up, but I got it done today," and things like that. And that's like, "Oh, okay, she's right. I do need to double up," and you go and you do it. And I think that piece, we all need that across all areas of our life. So having that available, it's when I walk in the door at Planet Fitness, I don't get, "Emily, you're here, yay,"
You
but
do it
it
with your limits.
yeah, you do, and I think, that community and it's a safe space where you can say, and I love, like I said, the Facebook Lives and seeing the chat messages that come in and people sharing about how they do different pieces is, that's a great place to be.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, awesome. So this coming up week, we're talking about boundaries. And that's, I know for me, that's always a big thing is making sure, although I will say I've shared in the past, I'll share it again, especially this past few weeks, putting up the boundaries to negativity. It's just something I can't consume anymore. Um, there's nothing with the people in my life that my whole world, there's no reason for us to have anything negative. Things happen. We have to be positive because that's what we'll get back. And so I will say that I've really been trying to put that up. So I'm excited to some of the discussions that I know we'll be having around boundaries.
Yes, I love it. And I just want to share real quick because this comes up a lot when people want to dump on you. And I had this conversation with a client earlier. Um, and it's not a matter of not being like positive versus negative. And I get
Hmm.
it. Some people are just like
Yep.
really
Yep.
negative and have
Yep.
nothing good to say, right? But I would say, like, if you find yourself in a season, right, and you find yourself in a funk and you just like definitely want to dump on people or someone's doing that, I always say, like, let's be Mrs. and Mr. Solutions. So
Hmm.
let's find a focus at like something like everyone's like, so what? Now what? Right? Everyone's like,
Yep.
what's in it for me? So when you're telling a story, um, just think about the other person. Like, what's in it for them? Why
Yep.
should they listen to you? Right. And do you need to just vent can we be more solution driven? I think there's negativity because it just stays there and it's like, and it's toxic and it's ugly because there's no solution. I think it's great if you have a problem or something is bothering you,
Hmm.
but if you do nothing about it, that's when it's toxic and negative, right?
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
if we can all try to be more solution oriented, to get curious of like, okay, I said this and here's what I'm going to do about it. And, or be curious and be like, hey, I really want to fix this. How can I
Hmm.
be better? Or how can I improve
Yep.
this relationship? I think that's a different way to approach it.
I love
And
that.
yeah, and my one of my coaches, shout out to incredible Marcus Black. He's my speaking coach and book coach. He shared with me, he's like, never tell a story without making a point, and never make a point without telling a story because we want to engage in and we don't just want to dump on people, right?
Hmm.
And so,
Yep.
um, also, if we are going through something, um, that it's like a small portion of the story and then the solution and how you overcame and came out of it. Like that's how I wrote my book, right?
Hmm.
Congratulations on your book, by
Thank
the
you.
way. We did not
Thank
celebrate.
you.
Hello.
No, I
Amazing.
know. Number one in US and Canada, pre-launch.
Woo!
Woohoo.
Amazing. But yeah, so like telling that short story of like, here's the negativity, here's the thing that I went through,
Hmm.
and here are the steps, here's the solution, that's where I think the positivity. So it's not like toxic positivity, everything's fine, da, 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 rainbows and
Yep.
butterflies. It's like we dip, but there's self solution.
Hmm.
And I think when it comes to relationships and setting boundaries, if we can check people, especially at the dinner table or at parties, be like, okay, so what are you going to do about it? How can we help? What do you need
Yep.
right now? Right? Get them out of that slump, out of the
Yep.
gunk. And I
Yep.
think that can go a long way. So I hope that
Yeah.
helps you in the audience. Because
I love that. And I have to say, when it comes to client conversations this year, I've started the call with how can I help? And it's changed the narrative of so many different conversations. So you're right. When somebody's coming forward with a problem and maybe it feels negative and you're not sure what to do with that because you don't want to be surrounded in it. I hear you, but how can I help and get them, like, try to get them to the other side? I love that.
mhm.
Yeah, that's so important. I love that.
Yeah, and we can't always fix everything either, though,
Mhm.
like, we can't, and everyone is on their own journey, and I think we wanna shorten that time
Yep.
period of uncomfortableness, right? But, we can't always fix everything for everyone. And we have to
Yep.
be okay with that. And that's part of the
Yeah.
boundaries, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Mhm.
that's hard a lot of times to be able to accept.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Yes.
Well, I'm excited about that. I loved a couple of things that you said today, and one of them was conversation starters. Dress the part that you want, essentials. And I'm making up words there. You used much more eloquent words than I did, but and I think all of that rolls into if you have for yourself and you feel good about yourself, then also go ahead and put up some boundaries so that the love and care that you're taking and putting into yourself does not get disrupted. So,
Mhm.
I walked away from feeling like, you know what, you're right, and as somebody who pours a lot into other people, that's the boundary piece and making sure that I have those up is super important.
Mhm. Yeah, it's, one of the core values of the Air Force was service before self,
Hmm.
right? And I always struggled with that because I'm like, why does service before a self have to come at a sacrifice of oneself?
Yeah.
And so that was always like reeling in my head. And so when I started Cruise Beyond Limits, I want to help people put themselves and their health first for 34 minutes a day so we can reduce the stress and overwhelm of life and live a more fulfilling life. When we pour into ourselves, I think what I was sharing was that or this is earlier in my life, right? I think that you were
Yeah.
sharing
Hmm.
when it pour into ourselves first and have those non-negotiables and our boundaries up, we give ourselves the love and then it overflows into others instead of
Yep.
pouring all of ourselves and then we have nothing left. We pour into ourselves, it's counterintuitive. And that is the overflow of love and joy and abundance and groundedness and peace and joy that people want, right? And
Yep.
it's not like, oh, we're giving all and then we're stuck, depleted, anxiety and exhausted and sick and
Yep.
overwhelmed and nasty and short tempered. And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. So
No, it doesn't.
yeah.
Well, I loved it. I love it. So, all right. Well, I'm ready for this week, week 6. I will share one thing. So for me, again, this wasn't necessarily about any type of weight loss perspective. It's more about shredding other things and bringing in consistent focus. But I have lost 7 pounds in the past 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, so I will take that as a win. So those Tuesdays that I missed and a couple of stretches, it does culminate into a level of success because it was consistent in what we were doing. So with
Mhm.
that, I've got some other areas from a business perspective that I really want to focus on, and that's going to take that same level of consistency. So I think this has been just a really great exercise for me to be able to go through.
Oh, I love it. I'm so proud of you. And how are you going to celebrate these wins? Did we discuss that? I think we did on week 1. Because now we're
Yeah,
from celebration. So what do you think?
I don't know. I'm beginning to actually just not. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not
Homework.
sure. What's that?
Homework for
I
next
will
week.
I will take that as homework. It's funny because somebody asked me how I was going to celebrate the book launch, the official launch tomorrow, and I was like, I don't know. I was going to get on the meeting and like celebrate with others, but I'm not sure. So I still am trying to figure that one out too. I'm
Okay.
not
Can you
very
tell
good
us
at
about the book?
Oh, yeah, Evolution of Women in STEM, and it's myself and a couple other authors, and for me, one thing that's resonated and kind of stuck with me as I've, grown in my career is that, when I was in high school, we did a roundtable, and it was, "What do you wanna be?" And I said, "CEO." Now I didn't know CEO of what at the time or anything, but I knew that that was something that title was something I wanted to drive for. And I was told that girls from Alexandria, New York do not become CEOs. And so I should go find another career. So that's the chapter of my book, my um, title. And just talk about things that I did and things that I had to overcome as a female who decided to take the tech route as her career path to becoming a CEO. And um, it's not just about being told that by another woman, but after that, how I took some tangible steps in order to make that happen. So that's what the book is about. There's other amazing authors also included who have amazing stories, and the hope is that it just empowers at least, you know, I would say if I can at least reach one person, that I've done a great job for the day. So I'm excited for people to read it. I haven't gotten my author copies yet. I'm so excited. They're on their way. I can't wait to see it. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. We definitely need to focus on celebration and sinking it in. All these great milestones.
Yeah, thank you. It's so funny. So I did the author's interview. And after I wrapped up, I said, I'm so excited to talk about it on my podcast because you have a podcast. And I said, I do. And I talked about it. And she goes, why didn't you bring that up on your interview? I'm like, well, because it was for the book. She goes, but the book and the podcast and everything you do are you. So why did you not bring it up? And so I've now so this is something that's driving a significant internal something within me. I, I am powered by authenticity, and that doesn't matter if it's my book, it doesn't matter if it's my job, it doesn't matter in like podcast. I've got to get better. So there's like this whole swirling thing. That statement was so impactful to me. That yeah.
I
So
love
now I've
it.
got these things swirling.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Uh,
We definitely need to chat more about that. I would love to support you. And yeah.
yeah. All right, we're gonna chat because yeah, I had a feeling you might be able to help.
Mhm. We do
Yeah.
have a vision board workshop coming up. So it helps you navigate all these things in
Mhm.
business and your fitness and your wellness, your finances, your faith, everything.
Yeah.
So it helps you really see how the whole package works together.
Okay.
So that's on December 28th.
Okay.
But you and I can chat offline too,
Okay.
separately. But
Cool.
if anybody else is kind of needs a good Kickstarter for 2025 and like wants to see how this all works, and especially as an entrepreneur and as a personal brand,
Yep.
how you can live your own brand,
Yep.
that's kind of my sweet spot. So I'd love to help people do that. So,
All right. Cool. I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
okay, sounds good.
Yay. Well,
Cool.
thank you for being here. I can't believe we're this far into it. As always, I've loved this conversation. Started with faith and ended on talking about, all of the journey. So I loved everything about it. So thank you for being here again, Krystalore.
Thank you. Enjoy your day. Let's make it a
Thank
great week.
you. And I hope everyone has a great week. Thank you.
Thank you.